Sounds smarter. We'll let Jesse and Tamara speak for you.
Okay.
So this amendment to the fund balance policy is really clarifying and adding a section that's specific to our special revenue funds, which include our state street aid, stormwater fund, hotel motel. With our approval letter for budget for this year from the comptroller's office, they recommended that our fund balance policy also include the recommendation for having the balance of 2 months or 16.67% of our operating budget in those. So the update to this policy is really adding a section for that specifies that we should be working for that for those special revenue funds as well as the general fund.
Okay. And which funds specifically are not meeting the criteria so far?
Stormwater, state street aid, hotel motel is very close. Drug fund doesn't really have any ongoing operating. It's more one time. They have an ample balance in the drug fund. It does apply to that, but drug fund does meet the requirement already. Yeah, state street aid, hotel motel, and stormwater are the 3 funds.
Is the State Street Aid the one that was going to be close to depletion, or was it the stormwater?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them we're fully utilizing them. So
That's a good word to call it.
Yeah.
Utilizing. Okay, thank you.
And with that, you said working toward it. So what's the plan? My question was, okay, so we set that. We've already set the budget for this year. Are we going to have to do something mid-year to get this to the point where there are funds in there so we can have a 16? So it's basically going to be pulling funds from someplace else.
right. I don't think the way that this revision on the policy is drafted is that if a fund falls below the threshold that's recommended, that we would come up with a plan to bring it to that point over a 3 fiscal year period. So we don't have to do it all at once. We can phase it over a couple of years to get it to the point where we meet that recommendation.
And roughly what would the dollars be for the stormwater to get to 16.67? What would that dollar amount be?
I would have to go back and confirm. I can send that out to you after.
Wasn't that in some of the documentation you sent us?
I don't believe
I
so.
don't think so. I should have looked at the budget.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
For the record, the way she explained it was exactly the way that I was going to.
Well, it was well said.
You did a great job, Jamie.
All right. I think this makes a lot of sense. This should be in place anyways. I'm surprised it hadn't been in place already, being proactive as we typically are, but it just, those funds have a specific purpose. So it's always been, okay, well, let's use it. If we got it, let's use it. We'll refund it the next year. But it makes sense to have that little buffer for those cases where you just get the unexpected expense coming through. So makes a lot of sense to me.
And to be clear, there is no problem, or we're not doing anything because there's a lot to read here.
Mhm.
The other reserves are sufficient. We don't have to do anything with those. We're not changing the policy on those. We're not raising the amounts. Okay.
No, we're not changing any of the other.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Is this the first year we've had the recommendations from the comptroller regarding this? Or has this been,
For this particular.
yes, for this particular, is this something new that the state is looking at, the comptroller is looking at? Or is this something that we've just been made aware of? I don't know.
So we were made aware this year, the last 2 budget cycles that I've been here, this was not brought up. I can tell you that in prior years, we weren't nearly as close. We had a little bit of a buffer in both of those,
Okay.
not quite to
So
that
this is more
threshold.
cautionary
Mhm.
planning.
That- Because we have salary and benefits in there, they want to
Yes.
make sure that if something happens, if our revenues come in short, we have enough funds available to keep payroll flowing.
Good deal.
Excellent.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. So need a motion?
I motion to approve reading of resolution 2025-34.
Motion to recommend approval?
Recommend approval.
Not a second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. Let's go on to reading or ordinance. So it says on here.
Mhm.
Reading of ordinance 2025-21 and ordinance amending budget ordinance 2025-09 to reflect final year and department adjustment to the city's 2026 fiscal year budget. And do we want to go to
Sure.
Tamara again? Okay.
I'll start this one. So we have many multi-year projects, and what we do each time we set a budget is we set a budget for how much money we think we're going to spend in the upcoming year. But we never want to be in the situation where we have, let's say, $4 million set aside for a budget. If the project's moved along, we want to have that money available for us. So very often we set more money in a fiscal year budget than we really think we're going to use. What that means is that when we get close to the end of the year, we have to make forecasts on how much we're going to use by the end of the year. And then for the next year's budget, we have to hold some of that money back for the next year's budget. We made those forecasts just like we always do in March and April, and then included them in the fiscal year 2026 budget. But now that 2025 fiscal year is finished, we know exactly how much we spent. We need to move some of that money into fiscal year 2026.
Okay.
Is that pretty good?
That's perfect. And then in addition to those project trips, we have since the beginning of, or since the budget was set, we have received several grants that we didn't know if we were going to get or not. And so both the expenditure and the revenue side are established in here related to those grants. Those are all no impact to the general fund at all. And then the one additional item is the dollar amount that would be necessary for a restructure of the Parks Department that's currently being worked on, that will be going before General Committee in 2 weeks. And then the final approval for that would be coming to BOMA the same time as the second reading for this amendment would be. So there's time to adjust that depending on how that results. The total impact for this amendment, a new impact outside of the project true-ups to the general fund, is just over $9,000. It's a pretty minimal impact for all of the items that are on here.
And how much is the parks that's going to be coming in from general approximately?
It's about 8,000.
Yeah, it's just about $8,000. Yeah, $8,300.
Okay. Okay. Any comments or questions?
It seems straightforward. I appreciate the documentation on it. Clears it up. Thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made to send to BOMA with a positive recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have discussion of a letter to Sumner County regarding funds bequeathed to the Hendersonville Public Library.
You've got that letter behind tab 3. We have not heard back, so why don't we discuss it monthly?
Was there a deadline on the letter to answer? I mean, I know that money's been in there for a while anyways. It's been earning interest.
There wasn't.
Because they gave us a 14-day deadline to pay them $200,000.
You are exactly right. The next letter will have a deadline.
Okay. So are you going to follow up with another letter?
Well,
Okay. Excellent. Any questions or discussion on that?
No, that's nice. Like, let's move it to the next month then.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. We want it for next month. Discussion of letter for Sumner County regarding payment of adequate facilities tax. And we received a very thorough packet by Mr. Lance Ray. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, well, let's just do it. What can you take it over from here then?
I can. Do you want me to
Summary.
discuss what's in this?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, discuss your findings and your recommendations.
So in 1999, the county adopted a private act for adequate facilities tax, AFT, on new development for residential and industrial. And for 25 years, the city has verified that a developer, when they come in to apply for a permit, that they have paid that AFT to the county. In 2024, apparently, there was a legal determination by the county that industrial could also include commercial. The county sent a letter in February 2024 to the mayors and to the legal counsel for the cities that, and you have that letter that says there may be some confusion as to what qualifies as industrial. Please look at this list of industries under the U.S. government.
SIC.
Yeah, SIC. But it didn't say we're going to start assessing AFT on commercial. It didn't say start collecting or start verifying for commercial AFT paid. It was a little vague and confusing. Nothing was done until April of the following year, 2025, when the county codes director sent the city codes director a letter to say, you guys haven't been collecting or haven't been verifying AFT paid for commercial development. And Mr. Story, the director here, immediately contacted their codes director, got some clarification, and with all new applications going forward after that, began verifying that. In July of this year, a couple of months after that letter, we received pretty much a demand letter from the county saying that we haven't been collecting or haven't been verifying the AFT paid for commercial dating back to the February 2024 letter. And they submitted a list of permits that we issued that we did not verify the AFT paid. They totaled around $225,000, and they said that we needed to pay that within 14 days. To back up, the act that was adopted by the county in 1999 had a provision that a city would be liable for any AFT that was not paid and not verified. But, there may be some shaky legal ground as to whether or not the county can enforce that against the city. There's some constitutional issues with that, and there's also some statutory issues with regard to citizens indemnifying another public entity in that way.
And so, based on that, what is your recommendation that we do?
Put what we just said into a response letter. We haven't ever formally responded to the county. I've had some communications with the county attorney just on the surface level about some time to investigate and look into this, but we never really discussed the merits to any real extent. So put some kind of response letter to say that we're not sure if that's enforceable. We've done everything that we could. We didn't understand from the February letter that now commercial is going to be involved with this. We've always tried to be a good steward of their AFT collection and to see if they're doing anything to pursue the people that actually owe the money to the county. That would be my recommendation at this point.
Okay.
So prior to this, we were collecting based on what we thought the interpretation was, and they were satisfied with that. Verifying, yeah, we don't collect. Right. Yes, right. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I want to be clear about that. So, but in February of 2024, that's when we got notice that it's changed in some way. The February 2024 letter, like I said, just didn't say anything about commercial. It specifically just said, hey, look at this list of industries under SIC, because there may be some confusion as to what is industrial. And that was pretty much. That's where it came from. Yeah. But then in April of, 14 months later is when it was clear that we should be verifying for commercial.
Mr. Ray, did you look into those properties they said we did not collect on and determine the validity of each one of those?
Yes, Greg did all the work.
Greg did. Okay.
Credit, Greg.
Okay. Greg's not here. Is he? Greg's story?
No.
Okay.
One of them we did verify was verified. and was paid.
I think that was the amount of 3,100 or so.
36.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were 17 of there were 26 total. One was actually incorrect. 17 of them, I think, occurred between that time frame of February 2024 and April of 2025. And the other ones were on permits issued after April 2025, but none of them were when applications were made. When I think generally is when the city would verify that AFT when applications were made. So there is something to distinguish between when the permit was issued and when the permit is applied for. The act talks about when the permit is actually issued, but at that time applications had already been made, and so nothing had changed.
Before April 10th, 25.
Mhm.
Right. Before we continue, I just want to state that I would want to make this part of the record, the entire packet that Mr. Ray provided. So if we can include this in the minutes, I would appreciate that.
It's one thing I probably should add. Yes, it was mentioned and included, I think, in the packet, and also included in mine. But in 2008, the state comptroller did a minor audit on AFT around Fort Sumner County and the various municipalities. And the city of Gallatin responded that they were in litigation or had been in litigation with the county over a similar issue as this with regard to the resource authority, and had prevailed on one of those constitutional. Well, it appeared what they were saying was it did prevail, but it appeared because of one of the constitutional issues that I brought up. And the comptroller's response to that was its recommendation was that the county have mutual agreements with all the municipalities on its obligations and responsibilities.
And do we have that agreement in place?
No,
With the county?
no, I don't think that agreement's ever been done.
Thank you for providing that 2008 audit.
Yes.
There was lots of recommendations in that audit going forward. Things were not clear, but the comptroller made some recommendations, several.
Yeah, it was
Very thorough.
informative.
Any other questions?
Well, what's your recommendation going forward?
Just if the committee would like to send a response letter, pretty much memorializing what we just discussed.
I make that motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
I think we're all in agreement there.
Agreed.
Let's get ahead of this and respond in kind, and make sure that with your findings of fact, illustrate to them exactly where we stand with this and what the city's response. So we appreciate that.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks.
Great. Moving on. Discussion regarding whether the city should accept partial payments, allow payment plans for property taxes, property tax bills. You want to take that?
So I'll just preface this with Tamara brought this up to me a week ago, and I'm trying to figure out what's a bad idea. I have failed so far.
To accept payments?
Well, she'll explain it.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea, especially for some of our older residents.
So, TCA does allow for the city to accept a partial payment or set up a payment plan for citizens to pay their property tax bills. We have to go through and do an ordinance. There are a few stipulations, requirements. The big one, and why this has not been ever brought up before, is that you have to have software that's capable of doing that. Our old software that we literally just upgraded to Munis, our old software would not allow for a partial payment. Now that we are on our new software, we do have the ability to do so. So we thought we would bring this forward and talk about. You have to have a plan, which is which would be outlined in your ordinance that gets submitted to the state. You can determine if you want to accept, 2 monthly payments, 3 or 4. MTAS recommends no more than 4 monthly payments. Your total bill is still due by the end of February. You begin accruing interest on any remaining balance effective March 1st. I know in some discussions with the mayor, one of the questions came up as, would this encourage people who are currently paying in full, right, to maybe pay only part of their bill and then pay part later. I looked into it. Over half of our property taxes are paid through mortgages, so that's going to be paid in full. I also had staff look at when the larger taxpayers or businesses are paying. Most of them are holding their money and paying in January or February in full as it is now. So I don't think that's really an issue. Where I see every year we have multiple people, not a ton, but enough that it's noticeable, come in and they ask, can I pay $100 now, and come back next month and pay the other $100. And they typically are folks that are older, their house is paid off and they're fixed income. And so, they come in and ask, if they can pay for part of it. I think some of them don't ever come back and pay any because they just don't have it. We have at least 1 or 2 people who will come in and they will pay their property tax bill with 4 checks. Because every month, as they're writing out their bills from October through February, they write out a check each month because that's how they keep track of it. And then they come in and they pay it all at once. That this could encourage them to potentially pay, pay along the way.
I can't figure out why it's a bad idea.
Well, is there any additional cost to the city to do this?
No, we can do it with existing staff. Our upgrade to our new system is actually going to have a savings of time for staff. With just in our general processes. It will, depending on how many, I can't imagine that we'd have more than maybe, I'm going to throw a number, say 20 people. So you have 20 people that make 2 or 3 payments instead of 1. Yes, there's a little bit of staff time, but there's no real cost to the city associated with it. It's completely manageable within our resources that we have.
And do we send out any follow-up letters if they pay just a partial payment? And do we send another letter saying, hey, your bill's come due, or is it on them to manage it?
When they get a receipt, it shows what their balance is and it's up to them to come in and pay their bill.
Okay. Are there things in place to collect if they don't pay it? What do we do? Or is it the same process as we're already doing?
It's the same process that we're already doing.
I mean, I hate to put it that way, but
Yeah, it is. If any unpaid balance effective March 1st, they start accruing interest. And then the following year, come April 1st, they get turned over to the clerk and master for collections. And that's the process that we do for any zone, and would be the same for these.
do you have any questions?
So you just need our ordinance written up so that we can make this change. Is that what you were saying?
If y'all don't find any major problems with it, I'm gonna ask Lance to write an ordinance.
I have one kind of drafted.
I'm gonna ask Lance to talk to Tamara.
I figured Tam already had something written down.
Well,
She's
MTAS does. They have a
Don't give it away.
a bottle one. Hey.
I think it's a great idea, a great thing to do, give them that opportunity. And like you said, it's probably not more than 20, 25. You don't have to make it as a public notice to people, just have it available for people who ask.
I do have a question regarding taxes. What do other municipalities in the area do the same thing?
Mhm.
It's pretty commonplace.
Yeah, most counties accept partial payments, and then going out looking at what other cities are doing. Most of, I won't say most, probably half the cities are doing it, maybe more than half of the cities. Any of them that are our size or bigger are almost all accepting partial payments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense then. The other question I've got then, this can be a separate issue. Other cities in the areas, maybe not in this area, I don't know if it's in Tennessee or not, but they do accept early payments and they give the homeowner discount on the taxes. Is that something that we'd be interested in doing? No.
Constitutionally, I don't think we can do that.
No, I don't.
Is that
think-
against our constitution?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is because we have to charge everybody the same way
Mhm.
according to the Constitution.
What vehicle they use too?
Yeah, I am too. So I know the city looked at it about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I think there were some cities doing it and found out, oh, you can't do that.
Then they would, if they paid it by November,
Yeah.
The previous year, that year they
Especially
would
those
get a
vehicles.
discount. Yeah.
All right, that's a state law, right? Because I know Washington State does that.
Do they? Okay, I know Florida does that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Well, I would like to say that I do have some concerns just on the I think there's a potential for it to invite people to not pay, like an increased number that we're not getting. But that's at the same time, I think this is something we need to do for our citizens. I think it makes sense. And if you need someone to sponsor, I'd be happy to sponsor it. Unless you're taking care of that. Okay.
Sure. Happy.
Okay. Next on the agenda, thank you. Next on the agenda is sales tax analysis.
We have some continuing good news with our revenues here. The first page that you see here is our state shared taxes. I know, and you can see that again this month they are coming in strong compared to the prior year, which is very lovely to see. And fingers crossed that we continue that way through the year. I thought last month was a fluke that it was higher, but it's continuing that same trend. So,
Yeah, if you look at the 24 to 25, there were much smaller variances, and now we're seeing bigger variances this year, which I would have not have imagined that would happen this year.
although inflation did calm down
It did.
a bit, so that may be playing a factor in
Yeah.
this.
And your interest rates are about to go down, so that may help too.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, so that's our state surtax. Local option looks the same. I don't have the official number for August yet. I will say that I looked and I have an estimated number that I didn't put on here because I haven't got the number from the county yet. But my estimate is just a hair over 1.9 million. So it is looking like it's going to be right around that 1.9 million.
Did you call every retail shop in Hendersonville and ask them how much? Is that what you did?
No, I can see what the total is on the state, but then there's these calculations that happen behind the scenes once it goes from the state and they take their admin fee, and then it goes to the county and they take theirs, and then there's some other calculations that happen to add in the unallocated, basically meaning there are some that are county, but they didn't tell the state what city they're in. Those get divvied up. So I can't see what those calculations are until the county sends the information to me. But it'll probably be the end of the week before I see that.
Speaking of admin
He's
fees,
just gonna.
The state's admin fee is reduced,
okay.
and that's reflected on actually was reflected effective July.
And wasn't there something about reducing what the county could charge as well?
I don't think that's gone
Oh,
anywhere.
I hadn't heard that. Lance, do you know anything about that?
Sorry, would you repeat the question?
Wasn't there something at the state level that would reduce the amount of admin fee that the county would subject our sales tax revenue to?
Recall, there has been discussions, but I can't answer that. I can find that out for you. What were you?
Yeah, I think there was discussion,
Thank you, Jess.
but I think where it landed was the state ended up reducing their fee for now. So I think there was discussions about county and state, and what ended up happening is their fee was reduced from the state but not by the county.
Okay.
So that may be a continued discussion, but it is a revenue source for the county. So where the state has a bigger buffer than the counties do, a little easier to pull a little back from the state than it is the county.
Okay.
So it may come forward again.
Okay.
That was good.
Good answer.
Thanks.
Hotel motel also coming in strong.
Yeah.
And I will say the August amount, there is one of the one tiny little hotel, we have not received their check, but they average about $600 a month. So when we do receive that, I'll add that in there. So that amount will change slightly between when you see this report next month.
Okay.
But I wanted to show this.
Better than last
It's,
year.
it's looking significantly better. It's looking more like what we are hoping it to continue to do.
Yeah, that's what we expected last year and didn't get.
That's exactly. So we're on the right track so far this year
Great.
with hotel motel. Our investment interest earnings, a little bit lower in August than they were in July, which we anticipate. We're to the end of the year before our property taxes start coming in. It's gonna, that's gonna drop a little bit, especially if interest rates come down. Also, we've got a lot of pretty large expenditures and projects planned this year, so we'll be using some of our money that's currently invested to, do things for our
But it's
citizens.
more than last year, for the month of August.
It is a little bit more than last year for the month of
I'm
August.
looking for any kind of,
Any-
yeah.
Silver lining. It's close.
That's it.
And we're definitely on track to exceed the amount that we have budgeted at this point in the year as well.
So the projected, that's taking into account the funds we're going to, the
Mhm.
fund balance being reduced.
Yeah. Stormwater, last month, there was a question on the fiscal year 25 and why it was less than fiscal year 24. So we went back and looked. When I pulled the numbers for last month's report, we hadn't reported our final accrual for FY 25.
Okay,
That's now included in there.
great.
So the numbers look like they really should.
Yes.
And then unlike the prior 2 years, we've actually collected some delinquent stormwater fees in both July and August this year, which is not common, but we've had a few people paying.
Okay, good.
And then our PIP fund, again, this first section is our revenues. We're currently projected to come in a little bit over what we have budgeted. It does look skewed looking at last year's revenues to this year's. These first few months, it's going to look skewed until we hit February because that's when the grocery tax fell off. So, but we are coming in, I think right where we want to be on those. And then our second page has a summary of what we have budgeted and what's being worked on for the current fiscal year.
Any questions on that? Just want to step back to stormwater real quick. Have we had any discussions on increase? I know we never increased the stormwater fee. Have we had any discussions on increasing that slightly?
We've discussed it. It has to be done almost like an impact fee. It's utility, so it's cost recovery in large part. So we've had some discussion about potentially looking at doing that. As of right now, we're able to keep up with our projects and using the stormwater fund. There hasn't been
I think there's no need.
urgent need to do it right now. We were able to use some of the ARPA funds for a stormwater project that we're doing right now. If we continue to get grants and funds outside of the city that we can supplement stormwater, we can probably keep the rate flat for a while, but we'll have to just monitor it throughout the year next year to see if we're in need of increasing that or if grants dry up and we need to supplement.
Well, and going back to the issue about the fund balance, that would have to be a consideration too. If we're spending the money that we're getting in, we might need to raise it a little bit just to get that 16.67% fund balance that we need every year. Something to consider. I don't want to do that.
What's the process if that's what we elected to do?
Yeah, we probably have a consultant come in and run calculations for us on costs and then recommend a fee to the
No, you just said that was a utilitarian, almost a utilitarian fee, almost meaning cost what it costs, and if it costs more, then we have to charge more. But we're kind of a pickle between increasing the stormwater balance fund and then what our costs are. We want to run lean, right? So I guess anyway, the consultant will have to give us an idea. We'll consider
Yeah,
that.
and the control that we have is how many projects we do.
Mhm.
So if we want to go do more projects
Sure.
and get them done sooner for citizens, it's a benefit to them if to get them done sooner, but it also comes at an increased cost to do that.
Mhm.
And when we're talking about the necessary fund balance, when we're calculating how much we need, any of the projects that are done in there, we don't count those towards our budget that looks at the, operating. We would count our salary and benefits and then like the drainage line basically. So it's only a small portion of that
Very
overall
small.
budget.
Okay.
So, it's much more attainable. When you look at that budget as a whole, it's pretty large. But then if you take all of the projects, which are one-time expense, they're not operational, they're one-time projects out. Then when we're calculating out what that balance needs to be, it's much smaller.
That's all I've-
Oh, thank you for that information. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Motion to dismiss.
Second.